Hey, everybody, welcome to the Good for Business podcast. I'm your host, Colin Krieger. I sell houses and stuff like that. But we are here today with my new friend, Jake Phillips. Jake is one of 37 children that sprung out of a large family in West Point, Mississippi, and his day job is making funny voices. Is that correct?
Mostly, yes.
Mostly?
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell me your origin story, Jake, since some people don't know you are the most professional voice actor, but you do other things. So.
Well, I grew up in Tibbee, right across the river. I'm one of 13, the second of 13.
I rounded up.
Right, slightly. Yeah. But yeah, big family. A Mississippi State Bulldog. From there, I went into the Army after I commissioned. I kind of moved around, came back into the area in 2015. So now my wife and I have 4 kids, and we live in Starkville, where I have a home studio, and I'm a voice actor.
There you go. Well, give me a little bit of your career. How did you end up did you come straight out of college and start doing it, or how did it work out?
Well, no. When I was, of course, being from the South, I had a pretty thick Southern accent out of college. When I got to my first unit, my sergeant, my platoon sergeant, was from Montana, and he said, everybody's having trouble understanding you on the radio. You need to learn to talk. And he was half joking, half serious, but that's when I started saying, okay, I need to enunciate better. So I was working on my diction so I could be understood over the radio. So I started training for voice acting before I even began to look into it. After my dad passed away in 2013, I started thinking of my newborn daughter and how much I would like to have recordings of me reading the classics, the Bible, different things for her and put them on YouTube. So I started a YouTube channel, and for that reason, and then I just started kind of getting work from it. And then I guess 2018, I left Yokohama Tire and started doing this full time.
There you go. So how many videos had you posted by the time you could do it full time?
Well, I wasn't making money from the videos.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know, maybe 50 or 100, something like that. But it was the money I was making from other people saying, I liked this. Could you do mine? Kind of a thing.
Well, that's what I was just discussing it with Brett Locklaw, the guy who was here before you, about how everyone has several careers of varying degrees of success, but you don't realize sometimes how many of them filter into the next thing. So, like somebody having me, part of the reason that we've gotten to know each other was that our restaurant review friend, Stafford Sheridan, was coming to town, and then he went somewhere and met Keely Shields from CBI, and he asked her if she knew me, and then he researched me, and he saw I had stuff on Facebook and YouTube going back 5 years, and he's like, oh, okay, he's okay.
Right.
So when you get into voice acting, and you say you're doing voice acting, you don't know that just doing something for your kid or recording something, what'll it lead to and what'll somebody stumble on. And especially when you talk about, like, you're in that, I call that the golden age, that 2010 to 17 or 18 on YouTube, when a lot of the people there got nothing, no recognition, no money for a long, long time. Right. And then there's a few that cashed in, but a lot of people, like, that's good to have on your resume that you were 10 years ahead of a lot of other people. So, and
I would say I didn't even start going all in until probably 2023, summer of 2023. But I was, if you look at my YouTube channel now, it says since, I think, 2013. Yeah. Like summer of 2013, I've been on there. In some capacity.
Well, it does help. Yeah, no, it absolutely helps. And I've got friends who have, like, who I met a long time ago, who have one name, like their Facebook Gary and Twitter Gary, and then like I'm like, oh, that's that's a good person. Like you were on the scene,
right? The original Gary.
Yeah. I had Colin K at yahoo.com, but then I hated email in like 2002 and 3. I'm like, I don't need that. So like. My brother, who's been on the internet since day one, had some pretty cool. I have ColinKrieger.com. I've had that for like 23 years, but there's only about 5 competitors for it, so it doesn't do me a lot of good. Right. What was the first kind of jobs you started seeing in voice acting?
I started doing some audiobooks. I did it was a commercial for within a movie, so it was like. Some kind of thing like that, and when I got paid $100 for it, I was like, "What? That took me 5 minutes. Let's do that again." And I guess the first big job I had was Sunday Night Football. So I did the intro for the New Orleans Cowboys game. I mean, it was a regular season game back in 2019. That would have been,
The Saints beat them 52-14. It was a massacre, wasn't it?
I know it might have been. It might have been.
I know they only played them 3 times in like 5 years.
It was. It was late September.
I'll be very happy if I'm right about that game. We beat the crud out of them in one game as well.
Was it a home game?
I think it was in Dallas though. So
okay, so this was in New Orleans.
Okay.
I do remember that, but I do think New Orleans won though.
Yeah, they beat them 3 times in a row. So yeah, they would.
Okay, it had to have been. But yeah, so I did the intro for that. That was big, for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I do a lot of different stuff for a lot of companies and.
Do you have like an agent or an agency or something?
No, I mean I have in the past, but anybody with an agent, unless you're maybe, character voice actors out of L.A., anybody that I know that does commercials, or kind of a little bit of everything like me, you're going to get most of your business just being kind of mercenary and finding it on your own, being active on social media, and that's kind of how I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm not against an agent, but when I've had them in the past, they didn't do anything for me, so I don't want to pay somebody that didn't do any work. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had to do any further training since you've gotten into it?
I mean, I think I practice every single day in some capacity. I think screen acting. There's a guy down in New Orleans named Jim Gleason. I've taken some of his stuff, and it's more screen acting, but it transfers very well into voice acting. But as far as practice, which I think is the biggest part of it, I do that every single day.
Yeah, I remember for books, because like I've been through Toastmasters, which is public speaking,
right.
And I'm an above average public speaker, but I'm a realtor, and there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I can do that. I got a good personality, whatever. And it doesn't mean that they can't, but they don't understand the work and the disappointment and the struggle of no paychecks. And I would imagine that's somewhat similar in your industry. Because, like, absolutely. I'm above average on this, and a local guy on a podcast can speak really well. But I hear myself stumble over words. I can see you talk, and your inside of your lips tighten up, and how, like, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, this guy's like, he's a pro. But there's some people going, oh, I could do that. Like, it's just they think they can talk, so they think they can do it. And that's why I was asking about the practice part of it, because I've only been doing community theater for 2.5 years, and I'm stunned at how much we have to practice.
Right.
But I once we had the performance, I'm like, if we missed one more practice, like if we had skipped one practice, we'd be in trouble.
Right.
Yeah, especially when you talk about audiobooks, because I suppose there's some value that you can do it fairly quickly.
Right. And, of course, now we're up against AI and stuff like that, which it's still not to the point that it's enjoyable to listen to, mostly.
It's pretty sharp, yeah.
Right. But, to me, I want to be different than an AI version. I want to, so there's a lot of, okay, how could I pause? How could I inflect? Whatever, to detail it and make it interesting for the listener.
The best credit I can have to your profession is that Tony Robbins, who's definitely the most highly paid, probably most publicly seen public speaker outside of like politicians in history. I definitely last 25 years. The last 3 books of his I've listened to, his audiobooks are done by a professional.
Right.
Yeah, he could do it.
Right.
Probably not worth his time,
right.
like $1 million an hour or whatever, but he didn't do it.
Right.
And I'm like, this is when, then I was thinking about that this last week leading up to this. I'm like, like he hired somebody.
Right.
It's the same argument as a realtor. Like, I just need a grown up to handle this.
Right.
Who's going to do it right. And you could spend a tremendous amount of time. I listen to myself giving my lines for theater. Like, I'll record them so I can listen to them. And I'm like, like how much practice it would take to.
I didn't go to the performance, unfortunately, but I did see you on the playbill for Hairspray, and I was like, whoa.
I'll have to send you a secret recording of it. The best thing I did was I went on WCBS. I'm on every Tuesday morning. Today when we're recording, I get to go in there and talk about local events and stuff. And what had happened was I was going there so often helping out local events that they're just like, we'll just give you your own show. Please just come once a week. And the night before was our final week of rehearsals, tech week or whatever. I went up, and it was the first night I had to be in the wig and in the dress at the same time and in heels and in character. And I flubbed all my lines. I'm talking 60%. And this happens every week. Throughout the week, one person every night just like, you would jump off a bridge. Like, it's the worst ever. And I texted Keely Shields, who I'm on TV with. I'm like, I'm coming. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, full character. You need to put my makeup on. I'm coming. She's like, oh, my God. So I went on TV to get myself over the fear. Like, much like you, I'm probably not afraid to talk in front of a bunch of people if I'm myself.
Right.
But being, I mean, clean shaven face, inner dressed, and so I went on TV and I was like, oh my God. And I didn't have any plan, but it turned out phenomenal. And then the rest of the week was a piece of cake because all my redneck friends saw me on TV, the ones who wouldn't come to the theater, so or aren't going to come. And even I always said that before I was in it. I would go to one of the 5 shows every year. Now I want to go like every time.
Right.
But I don't know. I always tell people it's kind of hard to do anything at night. I'm sorry. And the Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld, I'm like, I don't need to go anywhere at night. Or I love a good cancellation. Like, I don't want to do, I got to do something tonight at 6 o'clock with some dear friends. And I'm like, maybe there'll be a tornado, you know? So how many like audiobooks do you do a year?
It depends, because what I do is a lot of classics for my own channels, like public domain classics. And my thing is I'll put Southern characters in them a lot of the time.
Much like some of these wonderful novels here on these exact, the illusion is ruined.
Exactly. Yeah. So, if you include that, that's going to throw it off. I would say I've done probably, 80 to 100 total so far. Some of which I get paid for by the author or publisher, and then some of which are me putting onto YouTube. So yeah.
You making money on YouTube yet? Do you have enough subscribers?
Yep. I've
YouTube, from what I've told YouTube, is the best per person.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything I've had, and I've got some friends. So that's actually how Josh and I connected. Was talking about this guy Gary Vaynerchuk, who's huge on Twitter and Facebook. Well, I met him like 12 years ago. Okay. He's 4 days older than me. We connected. I got to go to an event with him where I spent an hour and we hit it off. And I have a couple people at his company which does like talent management online, and he's like, if you had to drop everything and do 2 things, he's like, what would you do? And I was talking to one of his guys, and he's like, I'd redirect your Facebook people to YouTube and do social shopping somewhere else. He's like, those 2 things. He's like, because YouTube pays more than the rest of them. Their heavy hitters make more on YouTube than they do. He goes, other than the outliers in Instagram and TikTok. Right. But like, you're not going to make money anywhere else. Like YouTube, what it pays per million views or whatever is so much more valuable.
It really is.
And I have almost no views on our stuff. We don't hype it up. But as I've told a few people, like, I'm getting search results and being found by videos that I've posted to YouTube that have one view. Like, they're still searchable, and Google owns it, so that helps. And
exactly.
And AI is just cheating off Google. So, like, I have people find me, and it'll be just the transcript from our interview. Nobody watched it, but it'll show up on ChatGPT search. So there's some value there.
Right.
Other than you hope the YouTube vaults will be here forever, but the evergreen content for your kids.
Exactly.
To be able to look, I'm like, it's my dad, which I don't have. I don't have any video of my father. Right. There's some long lost tape recording. My dad was a professional singer, but of like that. But I don't, there's not nothing laying around for our kids.
Right.
So what's it like? I mean, you just get hit on social media today, and they're like, what other audiobooks is, I guess, what I'm asking? Commercials?
Well, I do, commercials. I do a lot of museum pieces. I was just out in Oklahoma this past week at the Oklahoma National Guard Museum, where I had done the narrations for the theaters inside the museum. And then I've done museum pieces for Sheikh Faisal Museum in Qatar for the World Cup back in 2022, for all the English-speaking tourists coming into town. I do tons of audio dramas and like animations and games that run up on Steam, things like that. So a little bit of everything.
So
really.
I see you on a poster at Comic-Con? Are you?
I'm not. I wouldn't say that level. Not, but I do a lot of because a lot of those people are going to be. They've worked for Rockstar Games or Red Dead, Call of Duty. Those kind of people. Those all have agents, and those all pretty much live in L.A. A lot of them. That's not me. I'm not really interested in living somewhere besides here.
Well, it seemed like to those people who some of them I've paid attention to those posters since we had a Comic-Con here, and some of them I imagine it's sort of a snowball thing. Like they may not get more popular from anime, but they've done one character that broke huge, and then of course they're like, well, that's the guy that did that, so we'll get him to do this.
Exactly.
And it just builds and builds. So they'll get the one big character, like the SpongeBob guy,
right,
and then he'll get 20 other smaller ones that aren't that notable, but pays the bills,
Exactly.
Because he's like, all right, well, we know we can do it. Because I imagine this huge trust factor in when they're hiring you for the commercial, as I've heard tons of local people try to do vocal overs on commercials, and I'm like, Pay somebody. My judgment is somebody slightly better than me. That's who you need to pay. Right. It's somebody like, and I've done our little things here, but I don't care. But other people got to do it 30, 40 times, and you still hear it, and you're like, oh my goodness,
To your point from earlier, anybody can do it, but it's harder than you think.
Yeah.
To sound natural or whatever, because most local commercials, I like listening to Mississippi State baseball on the radio, and I'll do yard work. And kind of my game during the breaks is sort of my best and the worst. And I don't tell anybody, of course, but there's some commercials where it's like, oh, this is my favorite because it's so terrible.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and to do it consistently too, because like I said, the ad agency or somebody that calls you, they want you to do it. So you're able now with technology and stuff to just send them a file. You don't have to.
Absolutely.
How long is it when you started? Were you still like sending jump drives and stuff?
No, I mean, I think from the get-go it was always, I could fill the order just with an internet connection and my own studio.
Yeah.
But then there's different kinds. Some people will say, well, just send it to me. And then other ones want to Zoom with you while you do it. And then others there's a program called Source Connect where they're literally recording you in a studio at studio quality. So that's like, you don't have to send them anything. You just talk and then they do what they want.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people here who have other podcasts who come in and he's like, just, sound is so much better. And I listen to it. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like I've listened to theirs and here's, but the audiophiles who listen to the stuff here are just like, you've got the best.
Right.
Like he's got the best rig in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome for a little podcast studio in Columbus, Mississippi.
Absolutely. This is fantastic.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Like I was like, I've only done one or two remote ones. One was for Staffordshire, and one was for this big mafia guy we had who came to town. And I'm like, I'm thinking of doing like a monthly event, and I want to do the podcast there. And I'm like, well, I got to get him to come with his stuff. Like, I can't go back to rinky dink.
Right, you can't downgrade stuff after this.
So what are you doing? Are you taking guitar lessons?
Yeah, I'm taking guitar lessons here. And in fact, in this room before Josh set it up, he called me. I was like, hey, come over and give me some ideas. So we actually sat in this room, and it was just bare walls, and we like, okay, we ought to do something here. So anyway, this is really cool to see it in action and be a part of this little set. But yeah, I'm taking guitar lessons. I've had my fifth one today.
And how old are you?
42.
Okay, so I'm 50. Like
okay.
I'm getting to the Renaissance man portion of my life a little later than most. But my dad was an American class tenor. He sang somewhat semi-professionally in New Orleans, and you know how they have that line of my dad was an alcoholic, that's why I drink.
Right.
My dad was an alcoholic, that's why I don't drink.
Okay.
That's why I don't, because like we would go somewhere. He sang at bars, he sang in local groups and stuff, and I just he'd hear somebody else sing, and he'd be like, "Yeah, he's a little flat." Meanwhile, my brother is at choir till every day of his life singing in front of. So I'm getting to it. I'm taking more voice lessons. I took voice lessons a couple years ago for singing, and same thing. I'm like, well, now I need to know. Now I need to know if I can do it, And it's fun to learn a new skill the older you get.
It is. I think you appreciate it more for one, and then I suppose it slows the slide into oblivion.
I think so too. People ask me, like, there's two things that I do to get energy. Like, I'm only going there to go and leave with more energy. One is hanging out at the Air Force Base. We have a couple groups in town that help support the base. And I don't care what your politics are. You go there and see like 22-year-old kids about to fly in a jet, and you're just like, yeah, USA. And then, unbeknownst to me, going to the theater and seeing the rehearsal of like all these kids, and I say all kids, anybody under 30s, a kid. It's mostly college kids. There's like 3 of us that are 45 to 50 who are doing it, and but like you just leave getting so much energy,
right?
Because like you have the worst night ever, and they're like, you're the greatest, and then they all cheer each other on. I'm like, man, everybody should just. Like, I'm literally just going for that,
Right.
So it's incredible. So do you sing at all?
I don't consider myself a singer, but I've taken 2 years of classical voice, I guess within the last, I think I started in 2022, and then I took it for 2 years. And then my teacher is Ukrainian, and he's getting, he has a lot to deal with to this day, so it became hard to
Where was he? Was it online or here?
Yeah, it was online, but he was in the city of Dnipro or something, kind of in the central part of the country.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes and no. Like I've had training, but I also have no experience. But that's a goal of mine, is to be on in a stage musical. So that's a goal.
I know some people to talk to. So.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah,
and then in the last year, I've sung in about 3 different productions. My character had a song to sing.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first time.
I would imagine that
out.
helps a lot for a
I
voice
think
actor
so.
to be able to do something like, oh, I can also
Right.
hang, or at least, hang. Because part of the discussion I have with Garrett Torbert, who runs Golden Triangle Theater, Isabella Powell, who's like his assistant 2 years ago. I like to say this and humble brag all the time. The 6 months before my 20th anniversary, I secretly learned how to play our song and sing it for our anniversary.
Oh,
and
very
I
nice.
surprised her at her party. So I took voice lessons and I got exponentially better.
Okay.
Because I was just singing what other people sounded like.
Right.
And then now, like I was talking to Garrett, and I said, well, now I want to be the best musical theater singer I can be, not tenor or
Right. Because it's a different genre.
It's not completely different, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I would call it head voice. My dad used to call it head voice, like
Right.
pretending to be somebody else and not operatic or whatever.
Right.
I'm sure there's some actual distinctions. I apologize to all my friends about it. But yeah, no, I was like, if I had a goal, I'm probably too old by the time it happens, but like to be able to hang in The Greatest Showman. And we've got, usually there's 1 or 2 heavy hitter singers in each of our performance that are just, at least regional level, like not the best, like best in a few, incredible singers. And they'll recruit them sometimes to come. And then everybody else is pretty good. And then there's some, and I'm in the pretty good middle now. I'm not embarrassing. I wouldn't be, but I don't know if I could get through a whole song as a lead,
Right.
That's just where I want to be here. Not even for a specific show. Unfortunately for me, like the last time I sang, I was Edna Turnblad, so I had to carry some pretty heavy notes and songs. But I'm doing like, I'm talking like this the whole time. So like, I had to carry like an 8-second note or something. Like that doesn't quite count. And of course, you have that. Everybody has imposter syndrome. You're once you get quarter good at something, you think you're horrible at it, and then I'm like, well, I kind of got this pass, like to be a woman who sings bad, acts bad, and forgets. And I'm like, I feel like I got a pass. So I don't know. I'm not sure I'll ever be in a dress and be shaved down again. I don't know if I can handle that. But
You never know.
I don't know. The night is young. There's other places to happen like that. What's the? I don't know. Have you done many cartoons? Anything? What's the most noticeable thing if somebody's going to find you, other than me looking back to the Week 5 Dallas at New Orleans Saints game?
I don't know. I mean, that's a big one, and it kind of depends on where you're at in life. Some people are like big Steam games. They love Steam and they have subscription to it. And there's one called Tip of the Spear Task Force Elite. It's a first-person shooter like the old Delta Force game. It's kind of early generation, pre-Call of Duty, but that style where you see the rifle and you can hear the the command. So I'm the allied commander, like, all right, hey, move to the checkpoint, that kind of stuff. That one. I don't know. It kind of depends on what they're up to. If they're into audiobooks, there's a whole other thing, and then
Do you have a range of voice? I'm sure you do some, but do you have like 5 set ones? Like, do you have a set? Like, if somebody said, "Hey, we need a reel for your 10 best voices," do you have something you send to people, or do they not?
I do. Like I have several reels and stuff on my YouTube channel. But
name the YouTube channel so people can find it.
The Cultured Bumpkin.
Oh, okay.
So it's that's where I put. I do a lot of skits, classic literature inspired skits, but then I also put my audiobooks on there as well. So normally I am a hero or a villain. That's usually what I end up playing. Usually a villain. But then it just depends if you have an accent. So if you have the whatever part of Britain villain, whatever part of the U.S. villain, well, you can have 10 different villains just right there, just based on it's the same villain, just a different accent. Well, then if you start adding in, you talk back the throat, or more like this, as opposed to, maybe through the nose. Maybe you're just as diabolical, but it's more up here. Then you can exponentially add how many characters you have based on, one little tweak.
Yeah, I've seen, what's his name, does all the imitations, Frank Caliendo.
Yes.
And I watched a whole podcast episode of him on YouTube.
Oh, he's a master.
And he talked about how he builds off them. He's like, this is so-and-so, but if you do this and hold it this, it's him. Right. And so he's like, I've gotten broken down to these 12 bases. And he's like, these are the 12. And he goes, that's where I go from, if I tweak it a little, it goes here. If I tweak it a little, it goes here. And he's just, in his mind, that way I know, like, that means these 5 people.
Right.
This means Seth Rogen and so and so and so and so, and this means Denzel Washington and so and so, and he's got the starting point, and so he knows that, like, worst case scenario, if I can't find it, I'm about to go on TV recording, I'll start with Denzel, and I can get close.
Right.
And he talked in one of the 2 podcasts I listened where he was talking about, like, they're like, do you ever miss? Because he does live stuff all the time. And like, literally, like, the football stuff's pre-recorded, but I mean, like, when sometimes he's live on there and he's trying to make a joke and he kicks into a voice and he's like, can you ever not find it? And he's like, absolutely. And he goes, the funny thing is, like, it isn't mental till it is. So he's like, I'll go into Denzel and do something. I was like, I know it doesn't sound right and I got to stop. And he was twice I've called, he's like, I've been on, like, national television where he's been trying to, he mentioned Denzel was kind of tough, and then he said he had to yell at himself in Denzel's voice. Like, he literally, I can do Denzel, but I'd have to practice. But he literally said, like, what are you doing, son? You're trying to be me? Like that. And he goes, I'm sorry, Mr. Denzel. And he's like, see? Sorry, he came in here trying to trick me. And I was like, man, because that's again, there's another guy who does voice imitations. I always see him, like, at the red carpet stuff.
Right.
And
I know you're
the
talking about.
tall
Matt Friend.
Yeah, and a tall guy, and he does that, and he's just, and same thing. He, even more than Frank Caliendo, he doesn't really do the faces as much. So he just comes out of nowhere with this big deep voice. And you're like, oh my goodness. So,
right.
And so, are you doing any imitations or anything? Do you slip into it?
I am not an impressionist. Those guys are very good. Like, that's special. That's like being able to pick up a guitar and play a song. You know what I mean? You have to have a very finely tuned musical ear.
It's completely opposite skills. You're pulling something and pulling it from yourself.
Right. And then there's different levels. Are you doing the body language too? Or is it just the voice? So I'm not an impressionist, but I believe that a bad impression can still equal a great character. So I might say, well, I can't do Denzel, but I'm going to do Denzel on this mic, and it'll just be a great character. Yeah. That kind of thing. So that's how I think of it. But I'm not an impressionist.
Yeah, that was a hard part. That's a hard part to do with all that. They talk about that a lot at the theater stuff about don't just like singing. Don't copy.
Right.
Don't copy the singer. Do it yourself singing the song.
Right.
And it's tough, like with Edna Turnblad, because there's like 2 very prominent people who did it, and then John Travolta did it and was horrible. But like, well, he could dance, but his accent was horrible. So like, where do you pick in that range? Because you have to have a nod that it's somewhat, when they're that known. And it's not like Oklahoma. When we did Oklahoma, like, there's no one voice for Oklahoma. Like Hugh Jackman, probably the most prominent one, just like Hugh Jackman, the most prominent Greatest Showman, but it's not necessarily distinct. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It wasn't too far out, so that if you do the Lion King, you're in trouble. Like, depending on what role you get, like if you're an adult, you probably better sound like, if you want to sound like Elton John or whatever, if you're going to sing a song. So what are you working on right now that you can say? Do you ever have top secret stuff?
Every once in a while, but
the video games, that everybody knows what's coming. There's very few from what I'm not a video game guy, but my kids shoot stuff, and my brother is old school, and so they know Red Dead Redemption 12 is coming for 5 years.
Right, exactly. I am, from time to time, I'll do like an NDA, but I don't ever. I try not to get on social media and sort of brag about it, like humble brag. To me, it's pathetic when it's like, I just signed an NDA and can't tell you nothing about it, but just know big things are coming, y'all.
Yeah.
But I don't. Most of the time, I can talk about what I'm doing. I'm doing a story it's an audiobook. Let's see. It's called The Green Ember, but it's about rabbits and they fight and things. It's good. It's a young adult. Yeah. So that's my big project that I'm working on right now. But then I just had another guy just emailed me like, hey, I've got this 60-second ad for my store. Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm usually juggling jobs.
Yeah.
Usually I have a big one and then a YouTube job and then little commercials and stuff will come in during the week.
No, I know for the most part, unless you're a voice actor in a cartoon, it's fairly isolated, right? Like even if you're in something with somebody famous, like Red Dead Redemption or something, you're not meeting them or going on.
It depends. In one case, like the actor John Rhys Davies, who's in Lord of the Rings and stuff. I'm in something with him, but he recorded in London and I recorded here. So yes, we didn't interact. But then other times you'll all be in a room together. So it kind of depends on the production.
Yeah. So have you been in the room with anybody cool?
Well, a lot of cool people, but not not like an A-lister, let's say.
Yeah. Well, there's cool people, but like to us in this one building, Josh, you and I, and my friend Lee Hopper, like Gary Vaynerchuk's cool. Like, oh my God,
Right.
like, and then other people like, all right. I remember my kids, like, he sent me like something for my birthday, like posted on Twitter for my birthday. He did like 6 years in a row. And then like my daughter, they were like 8, 6, and 5. They didn't care. And then like when they're 14, my oldest daughter's like, why does Gary Vaynerchuk follow you on Twitter? I'm like, because we met, we were friends for a little while, and we're same age, so he's not going to forget me. And she's like, oh my God, he's huge on TikTok. I'm like, yes, I'm told you that. Like,
Yeah. Gotta go on a TikTok.
yeah, but nobody else cares, like, and that's one of the most fascinating parts. Like, that's what I sort of like about. I have some local notoriety here, but still 80% of people don't care and don't know who I am, which for me as a realtor fascinates me. Like, cool, there's more people that could get to know me, and maybe I'll get some business. But so any brushes with fame in that respect, or do you get to go to a premiere every once in a while?
Every once in a while, I would say I grew up listening to a radio show called Adventures in Odyssey, and one of the main actresses on there, I grew up listening to her, and then now I've had a chance to act with her in several things. So for me, that was a big moment for me.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
She's not a Hollywood A-lister, but to me that was like, this is so cool, because I grew up listening to her. Yeah, but no, I don't think I've nobody like Denzel or Morgan
the video
Freeman or
game
something.
stuff. There's people who like. One of my most endearing qualities is that I don't have much deference to people, like unless I know them or have done something. So like, I sat next to some like the most popular hunters in the world at this big event with my buddy Nathan,
Right.
And just because we were there early, because he was like one of the hosts, and I just talked to him for whatever, and I'm like, right at the end, I'm like, explain to what you do again. Is it ducks or turkeys? He's like, yeah, whatever. And like my buddy Nathan's like, all right, Colin, we got to go. And there's like 300 people in line to get his autograph. I'm like, good luck with the ducks. And like he's just like. Because I don't hunt, I don't care. I'm like, all right, well, good for you with your stuff, and so like that, and I, to a certain extent, like I've been into media, and that's how it is. Like you go to a crime scene or something, you're all professionals, you get off, and I would imagine that when y'all are in group, like if it's a bunch of Hollywood actors, the scenes I've seen where a few of them are in the room doing voice acting for a cartoon, they are kind of playing around and playing off each other. But I would imagine there's some of that, but y'all might be like when we're doing our final read-throughs for rehearsal for a musical, you're like, da, 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 and you do like you're just not even be like, oh,
Right.
exhausted.
Get me out of here.
I'm like, don't look behind the curtain sort of stuff. So
Yeah. Ducks Unlimited, I do a lot of stuff for them actually.
oh really?
Yeah. But I think it's cool that people aren't going to have heard of me, and yet I make a living at it. And so for those people, because there's a lot of people that want to get, that would be cool. I've always wanted to, didn't know how to do it. People can actually make a living at this, even in the AI age, and I might say especially in the AI age, because there's a movement towards using human creativity.
Yeah, and it's being pushed a lot harder by the under 35 crowd. And there are some, they talk about, they used to be called the gray hue, that, especially in the first 2015, when any CGI was used in a movie, it had this gray haze on it. It was a little hard to see. And it was actually better before then because they spent more time on
Right.
Now they want to put it in every scene. And like, I watch Transformers and I'm not impressed because it's just so much overwhelming just crud. And like with voices and stuff, I can still hear it. I think I'm at 100% of the little sharp cuts on the stuff.
Right.
And if I hear it on a podcast or like I'm listening to old motivational tapes, but people now are doing AI. They're taking old public domain Jim Rohn stuff and clipping it, but nobody's listening to it. They're just constantly posting it.
Right.
And I'll listen to something, and then his voice will come in like, if you want more motivational speakers, like, God,
Right.
dang it, man.
It's like the same tone, but I know that's not Jim.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, and then they like say one word. I'm like, ugh. Come on.
Right.
I'm like, come on. And nobody's there's certain people nobody's watching. Like there's copyright stuff out of there, and there's other people, I think probably the most, and I had never found an article about it, the most defensive person I've probably ever seen is Will Ferrell. Like there should be millions of GIFs and stuff for like Talladega Nights. And I guess because he had College Humor so early on, they must be just really protective of it. Like, and it's funny, you look for it, you're like, oh, Talladega Nights has all these quotes, and you go to find them, you can't find them. And then like I've created uploaded them like Imgur and other places, and they get copyrighted like right away. And maybe it's because it's so big that they recognize them. Like I had a friend who used to go around with an app in like 2009 and 10 on his phone, and he'd go around to gas stations and restaurants and bust them for BMI and ASCAP violations. You know, like because like they're playing the radio. You're playing a radio station you're not supposed to play a radio station if you have a public venue.
Right.
So you're not supposed to play a radio station at the gas station.
Right.
You're supposed to be paying the artist for the music. So he would go around and do that with an app, you know?
Mm.
And now I'm told, like he was telling me, he's like, yeah, it's kind of dying down because it's actually on everybody's phone already.
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, so like Amazon wants access to your microphone and it's listening to everywhere you are. And when you turn on location services, that's my job.
Dang
I'm
it.
like, what do you mean? He's like, Amazon is listening to your stuff. It's the same reason that you say, you know, brown Birkin purse, brown Birkin purse, brown Birkin purse, and then see what happens to your phone. And it doesn't always happen, but it happens, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, they're doing that to pull copyright stuff too. So
That's crazy.
yeah, that's what he said. He's like, a lot of people, like he's sort of like the theory that if the FBI wants to get you, they could get you because every single person's violated copyright law,
Right.
in some capacity,
Right.
Like just this, it's the modern day spitting on the sidewalk they used to bust mobsters for. You know? So if you, so like now, I guess if your YouTube's channel monetized, I guess your books on tape are technically monetized, right? You're doing public domain stuff.
So I'll put, like I did Pride and Prejudice in Southern. You know, it's a classic favorite book of mine. So it's on my YouTube channel along with a lot of other ones. Well, then on my Instagram, which you can only go, 90 seconds on a reel, I'll do a little skit or something, put on a red wig and call myself whomever, and then people will go, and then I'll say you can listen to the whole audiobook on my YouTube. So to your point earlier, I try to funnel my audience onto YouTube as much as I can from my other, you know, from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
No, the Facebook like 3 years ago was doing good for me on 1 million views or whatever, and I'm still getting the same traffic or better, but the money's less, and it's not that much money. TikTok, same thing. A lot of people said after it got regulated, or America took it back and then gave it back to the Chinese or whatever, and then it just messed everything up. So,
yeah.
I had a few friends who were making like $2-3 grand a month off of it then, and now we're making like $200. So
Right. Yeah. Off of
I just want it to be a meritocracy if they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not. YouTube seems like, from what I've heard,
YouTube, I feel like, is the best one to be on. It's harder to get traction, but it also pays you better once you start to get it.
Yeah.
And especially if it's anything that is at all educational, because there's, you know, they sell in blocks to, you know, advertisers. And so an advertiser's like, oh, it's like realtor type stuff as opposed to twerking videos. Well, I want to be associated with, you know, professionals, people that are buying homes, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So some company will buy stuff.
So do you just run their ads on your stuff, or do you have people buying ads have you been approached by people like that? Or?
Well, for me, YouTube is going to run ads whether you're monetized or not.
Yeah.
Once you're monetized, you just get a little cut of it. I haven't done anything besides just whatever they, you know, I think in my case, I'm in like literature and culture sort of category. So people that want to be associated with, you know, to sell stuff to literature and culture people will buy ads for my thing, for my channel.
Well, and the good part as far as reach goes is you never know who's listening, and you've got, you know, if you're doing voiceovers, the type of people you want are generally educated people who are in charge of something. And there's in this in almost every business, but the decision makers are usually the educated people who almost make no money, who make a lot of money. Right. So there's a lot of people, all my friends at the W, who don't make a lot of money, but they make a lot of the decisions of spending money.
Right.
And they're the ones that'll be like, oh, I'd like a nice voiceover guy. And somebody might be like, well, this guy's from Mississippi, and I heard his thing the other day. You know,
yeah.
Do you do full characters on some of them, or are you just doing it?
It depends on what the producer wants. So, like, there's Methodist Hospital down in Jackson. I'm working through someone in the editor is from Michigan, so I'm working with a studio in Michigan to do a thing in Mississippi. But they wanted it to sound not hick, but it to just barely there Southern accent, so it sounds like somebody from around here that has gone to Methodist for care.
Yeah.
Is that kind of thing. So it sort of depends. Some people will say, I do not want a hint of a Southern accent. And then other places, especially Texas loves the sound of their voice. It'll be like, make sure you have the Texas accent.
Well, people mention all the time that I don't really have an accent, and I'll if I go to New Orleans for a little while, I'll come back with a
Right.
sympathetic thing. But my dad, I mean, beat it out of us because he was diction and singing and opera
Right.
and stuff like that, and my mom had a Georgia Peach accent, but it didn't transfer, and we didn't get the New Orleans one either. If he heard our, our tongues dragging or anything like that, hey baby, hey darling. Now I came up here and I was hey baby and hey darling, and I do have a sympathetic accent, like I have a couple different country accents.
Right.
Not very, sometimes intentionally. I answer the phone and find myself in it. But if I go to Ducks Unlimited all night, I'm a little, hey buddy,
Right.
hey buddy, how you doing, buddy?
Right, exactly.
And my daughters, for the most part, don't. My youngest a little. They tease because we didn't have an accent. They're the only kids in school, and then you hear kids do the Pledge of Allegiance, and that's where the country accent comes
Right.
out because the collective group is, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Right. And so that's all my kids do, that imitation, because they can't get through it in class because they're like, oh my God. And they live in it. So how much you get to travel for it?
I would say I can do 90% of it at the house.
Yeah.
But I'll go to, there's a studio in Chicago that I've been to multiple times, and one in New York. So usually it's one of those two. But then I can source connect, remote into any studio in the world from my own. So I don't really have to. And that's what I like about it.
Do you use that when you were taking voice lessons?
What's that now?
Did you use a Source Connect thing for voice lessons, or were you just YouTubing it? I mean,
No,
zooming it up
most of the things that I've learned about the
for
industry.
singing voice lessons. I mean,
I would say no. We were just doing Zoom.
Okay.
So, I'm not fine-tuned enough that he needed better sound quality than Zoom.
I was about to ask, like, how good are you? I'm like, Zoom level.
Zoom level, yeah.
Community theater, summer stock, like that's where I am.
And he was like I said, Ukrainian, very we would say manly, masculine. And if you like, why you sound like baby? No, like he was ruthless. He hurt my feelings every single day.
Oh, that was tough.
But I got better.
Yeah, no, it helps. Like I've taken a few dance lessons. Holy cow, that'll hurt your feelings. And I'm rather delicate on my feet for a big man, but like, it's tough.
Yeah.
So like, it's Kristen Budlow who runs Warehouse Dance Studio. Like
Okay.
she's tough, and that's the hardest part in like musical theater is when you have to keep up with the dance because like
Right.
if I say there's 30 kids, 5 of them can sing, 2 of them can sing. Well, 25 of them can dance, like because that was just part of growing up.
Right.
There's a lot less. There wasn't a singing troupe when you're 8 years old, but there
Right.
was dance and
Right.
gymnastics. So they're like, she'll be like, play, jazz, move. And I'm like, what just happened? Like,
Right.
that was my first lesson in Oklahoma. I was like, first of all, I'm like, when did it say the old man dances in this thing? I thought I was over there holding a gun. They tricked me. The whole time. So how do we're getting kind of close to the end. How do people get in touch with you if they want you to do something? Look it up there. YouTube is the easiest way?
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I am the Cultured Bumpkin. I do a pretty good job about responding to DMs and such on there. And you can check out my stuff, see if you want to reach out.
Yeah, I've thought of people in the community like Nick Parrish at Burns Dirt and Josh's sister at Allegro, who probably I know Burns Dirt does like training videos and stuff.
Right.
And so I'm starting to think of like in my mind, and I met somebody today who's going to be doing some development stuff for like a bunch of the big factories out there.
Right. Yeah.
Now some of those factories are doing stuff at a national level and just handing it down, but I imagine they need some training videos every once in a while.
Yeah.
So
I do a lot of stuff for like Cotton Incorporated about their, stuff, and it just goes out to wherever, like you're saying. I do a lot of things like that. But social media is a great way to get up with me.
okay,
Yeah.
the easiest one. And tell me about your family. Where do you live in Tibbee now, or where do you live now?
We live in Starkville, kind of between Columbus and Starkville, near EMCC, out in the woods, kind of that area. 4 kids, 4 to 12, and a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and
And where are the rest of your siblings? There's 13, right?
That's right.
I met Jesse, right?
You've met Jesse. I've got a lot of us live in the same neighborhood, and
Is
then,
it Sessoms or is it not quite?
well,
there?
it kind of is. It's a Starkville address, but it could just as easily be Sessoms or Artesia.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jesse and I live on the same street, along with our mom and our youngest brother Joel has a little place. And
They're all J's. This
Yeah.
is in no way confusing.
Yeah. And then another brother lives like several houses down. also on the
Who's
same
the
street.
shortest? Y'all, if you're listening to this, you can't see him. He's somewhere between 6'2" and 6'5", depending on what convenience store he's walking out of.
So, our brother, who is he's in like special operations, a very bad man. He's the shortest. He's only six.
Just from jumping out of helicopters?
He's only 6. Well, he's 6 feet tall. We've always called him the runt. It doesn't help to smack the ground as many times as he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many of y'all were in the military? Because you're
4.
Jesse. Okay.
4. Yeah.
All right. And how many other brothers?
I guess that'd be
9 brothers.
Yeah, 9 brothers.
Oh,
so,
I got that
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be 5 other ones haven't joined.
But they're still tall.
They're still tall, except for the one. He's only 6 feet.
Were y'all homeschooled? Did y'all go to?
We were.
Okay.
We were.
Did
and
y'all
then,
dominate the homeschool basketball league? I'm sure there was.
well, flag football.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have a basketball team, but we did have a homeschool team. We were very good in those circles. And then, but yeah, I think, most of us went to college, Mississippi State. Two of my brothers have played at Mississippi State. But yeah, hometown family.
Yeah. Y'all can say we're big in Starkville because you're literally big in Starkville.
Exactly.
Do you do any farming and stuff? I've seen Jesse do a little bit of farming or messing around on a tractor. I don't know. My version of farming is a city boy is like you own a zero turn.
That would be, a box where you keep some herbs and vegetables. But I'm not. I wouldn't.
You're in tomato country there.
Yeah, tomato country. Maybe a little basil, a little rosemary.
Do you know Joe McGowan, the artist?
I know who you're talking
He's
about.
got a compound out in Sessoms. That's well.
Okay.
You just assume like it's one of the most interesting parts about this area. Like when I was in New Orleans, like you think you know everybody, and you move here, you like everybody tells me, "Oh, you must know everybody." I'm like, it's fascinating. Like, like I said, how many new people and interesting folks, especially. I think most people would think all voice actors are, maybe Atlanta, but definitely New York and LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like how can you make a living from your house? And there's so many interesting things you can just do for a living that are just absolutely fascinating.
Exactly.
And it's cool. And again, I think this will come out in a few weeks, but I think it just shines a light on kids who are going to school or feel lost to see what they can do. And we talk about in the theater group, I've talked to a couple of kids, like we had somebody who was in Oklahoma and then went on to play in a real life opera a week later in Chicago.
Wow.
And, they talk about like, well, it's hard to make it. And they're like, well, they mean make it like be, the lead or get into movies or whatever. But they're like, you can be a working actor. It's just tough in New York.
Yeah.
Like it's so expensive and the grind, you're doing 27 shows. Like we do 3 and I'm like, all right.
Right.
And they're like, well, you can make like 70, 80 grand a year and survive in Chicago being in musicals if you're above average and work hard. You know? And keep getting better.
Right.
Because there's always somebody coming right behind you. That's why I'm always like, every year I'm like, all right, I gotta learn AI. I gotta learn this. And even if I don't like it, not be resistant to it because there's so many things that are just, I hear other realtors like, I don't want to do this stupid stuff. I'm like, all right, like the last guy with the horse and buggy,
right?
Well, everybody's driving off in a car,
right?
So, where do you think future voice acting is going to happen? I don't see a big impact, and I think the more in the creative space and arts you are, I think the safer you are from any AI. Personally,
I think if you
there may be a turning point when the AI robots, who are almighty and powerful overlords, and we all love and respect them, all praise AI. Make sure they, when they do take over, there may be a turning point when that happens. It ain't happened yet, especially in the creative space. But
right, I think the better you are, the harder it's going to be for them to take your job.
But you're also in an industry where the people writing the checks and handing off are also they should be smart enough to rely on other creatives. Like it's an insular society. Like, hey,
right.
I need you to stay too.
But even if it's just about the Benjamins, which it generally is, people I think have found. Like 2021, 22, they're like, oh, I just punch it in and I'll have what I want. They've been doing that long enough that they're starting to see like, no, you kind of need a human that knows how to take direction. And you're going to end up, once you use your tokens, you just pay a person and it'll be better than AI anyway. And this has been my best year in several years.
Yeah.
My best year in AI, I would say. Since
we were told in real estate, they're like the small towns will get eaten up by this AI stuff and all. It's going to be one of my best years ever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Same thing.
Right.
Yeah, and like, there was The only part I don't like from a marketing standpoint is that like AI had a brief time period, just like Facebook did and everything did, where it was egalitarian and fair. Like it was just here, and then all of a sudden ChatGPT, and they signed up with Zillow, and they partnered with this group. And so like now the search results on those things aren't that much different than what they are on Google. A year ago they were. A year ago they were more meritocracy. Like, oh, if you're the best. And now same thing. ChatGPT's first 3 responses are ads, which I understand. They need money. I would just think that would be, to OpenAI and companies like that, pennies on the dollar to get a little ad when they're gathering this much like super intelligence about people and their instincts and what they're doing and stuff. So, but I'm not afraid of AI. I think compared to 6 months ago, I'm less nervous about its impact.
I think it would be as foolhardy to say, if someone in the 90s like, oh, don't, just fight the internet, do not let it take over your life, that they would have gone out of business. Might as well say, I can't beat it, but I could adapt to it, and use it as a tool in my own way. For me, it's not recording a voice, but I could use it to organize a workflow or
absolutely.
something like that.
You can do, give me the 5 options of professional stage actors that did Pride and Prejudice, who did Judy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so
exactly.
I have that. Okay, so I probably shouldn't do that. I shouldn't try to sound like Denzel Washington in this version of it. And I only use it to be funny right now. Right. There's some tools for real estate, but it's sort of the same reason I don't have an assistant who writes contracts, is because our contracts aren't that complicated, and they're very severe if you mess something up. You know what I mean? And I have to take as long to explain what I need on the piece of paper as it does me. I'm like, all right, you need to put, Tyler Wheat on there. You need to put 1017 College. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do that. I'm like, well, now I can voice. I can do a PDF where you can type on it, and you can voice it the same way you can voice text, and it types it. Okay. That's quicker than the AI of explaining the AI where everything goes. And so it's, plus, I'm the one that, it's sort of like my engineer friends tell me. They're like, well, I'm still the one that'll get sued or kill somebody. Yeah. The people that are probably the most in trouble consistently that I've seen and talked to are the levels of law, attorneys and law. So there's some of the first people that are starting to go away in bigger cities, and, where they can research thousands of documents in seconds, and they give you some suggestions, But there's not a shortage of attorneys like we have a shortage of everything. So, like, and I'm not going in to defend myself from a felony with something I found on the internet. I'm calling William Starks or Shane Tompkins. Shane Tompkins, attorney at law for all your anti-AI felony needs. Located in Columbus, West Point, and Starkville, Mississippi. Man, it's been good talking to you, good getting to know you. I'll probably have do you call him a big brother? Is Jesse big or little? He's little. He's little. Your little brother, who's pretty tall.
He's a bigger little brother.
What does he actually do for a living? I didn't ask.
I mean, he's world-class cinematographer.
Okay.
I mean, he's had
I've seen his stuff. I've listened to his podcast with Stafford about some of the documentaries he did.
Yeah, he's done a thing out at Sundance. I mean, he's amazing.
He's a grown-up.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing when they can come out of a family that, I call it, that dwells in possibility. Yeah. Y'all could have easily been, maybe some of them are, but like y'all could easily be this country bumpkin family that grew up with a bunch of tall kids and just said, well, you can't you can't do anything. You're in the ruralest of rural Mississippi. And to have some parents who obviously believed in you and instilled something. I'm not sure if they... Usually it's one of the two. They either told you sucked all the time and you overcame it, or they're ridiculously positive, which my parents were. Where it's like, you're going to be fine, 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 you're going to be fine.
Yeah. We had the latter, the good parents.
Excellent to hear. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks, Colin.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger, and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no-pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.